This is AgGrad Live,
We have all of the different segments within the cotton.
the show that explores what it's really like to work in the ag industry,
So making sure that we get policy and regulatory issues
straight from the people who live it every day. Hey everybody in AgGrad land, very, very pleased to be back at you with another AgGrad Live. This is our chance every week to broadcast live on Facebook with somebody who is working in the industry of agriculture and just get a chance to see what it's really like, to hear what the day-to-day is like, to understand what opportunities are out there, and just get a glimpse of the future of agriculture. I've really enjoyed these, especially since we started featuring our first ever AgGrad 30 Under 30, just because of the diversity of thoughts and opinions and backgrounds and career types that each of these people have had. So we're about 2/3 of the way into it. If you missed a lot of those and would like to catch them in the future, you can do so on the AgGrad Live podcast or on the AgGrad YouTube channel, where these broadcasts are always re-released for your enjoyment and your value. So very excited to have another one of our AgGrad 30 Under 30 on this episode in Mindy McBee. Mindy, I'm going to bring you on now. How's it going?
Hey, Tim. Going good.
Thanks so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Well, you are the U.S. Pricing and Formulation Manager for Cargill Feed and Nutrition, which sounds like a very important title, but can you tell us more about kind of what that means for your work day to day?
Yeah, definitely. It is a mouthful, maybe a little bit simpler than what it sounds, but essentially my team is responsible for pricing every single feed that ships out of one of our over 50 feed locations across the U.S. And we also formulate or choose what specifically is in the diet of every feed that we're shipping across the U.S. So we take input from our nutritionists and our tech teammates. We also, take input from our on-farm consultants as to what is going on, and some of them are actually building their own custom rations by farm, depending on what customer segment we're working with. And then my team is balancing the needs and the specifications of the product with what ingredients are actually available and what is the best and best value to our customers so that they can get the most, bang for their buck, if you will. So very dynamic. Every day something different is going on. We're servicing customers that are selling bagged products to more of a retail or backyard hobbyist farmer, all the way to very large scale dairy farms across the U.S. So pretty exciting.
Very cool. So does that include pet food as well, or is it all kind of livestock and poultry feed?
Nope, it includes pet as well. So we have 4 pet facilities across the U.S. as well, making all types of pet and cat foods. Yep.
Okay. And I think a lot of people, especially those who maybe haven't worked in the commodity space before, most of us have heard of Cargill in agriculture. Obviously, it's got a great reputation for being kind of all along sort of the value chain of agriculture. On the pricing side, though, it seems a little bit weird for maybe somebody coming from the outside. Like, don't you just figure out what it costs you to make it and then charge a margin and then just sell it? Well, why is this a constant process of sort of pricing and formulation?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, so we're only as good as the market intel that we have. So we have a great merchandising team out buying ingredients and making really good decisions on behalf of Cargill and for our customers. But at the same time, a competitor might have bought at a different time or have a different take on what the market is doing. They might have a different cost structure to make certain types of products. They might have a mill that's more efficient or less efficient than us. And so it's a lot more than cost plus. You've got to understand what's going on in the market because there's a lot of different factors that could really put you out of play, even though you think you have a perfect handle on what is going on. So we rely really heavily on feedback from our customers, our sales teams, our merchandising teams to really plug all the pieces together and figure out where do we need to be, to keep ourselves and our customers competitive with their end consumer.
Okay, and how did you prepare yourself for a job like this? I mean, I doubt there is a major anywhere in the U.S., for pricing and formulation. So what is your background and how did you get to this role?
Yeah, so you can walk into this role in a lot of different ways. I always tell people when they join our team that we can teach you almost anything you need to know. On the formulation side, we certainly have a lot of animal science degrees as their background. But then on the pricing side, any type of business economics, finance, ag business, ag econ role would set you up perfectly for this type of role. Me personally, I went to Kansas State University. I graduated back in 2012 with an ag business degree. From that, I came to work for Cargill in the merchandising space. So Cargill has a lot of training and associate programs, and I was in one of those in our merchandising training program. So I started in Minneapolis and Sioux City in a trading role, and then kind of through my actual internal Cargill and K-State network, I found an opportunity in our US feed business to become a pricing and formulation supervisor. So I moved from Sioux City to Kansas City, and supervised a small portion of our team. And then kind of ever since then, 5 years ago, I've slowly taken on more and more responsibility. And now I lead our entire pricing and formulation team. So it's awesome because I've worked with some of my teammates for 5 years. And I mean, they truly are my work family and know them very well, both personally and their work styles, which makes coming to work really fun every day. But yeah, it was kind of a career leap to go from trading into this role, but trading really was a perfect background for this role. And, better understanding the markets and where all of our ingredients come from make me, made the transition into pricing, especially, much easier than maybe it had been from another area.
Yeah, I think you're a great example of what can happen once you're in a company, like Cargill. I think some people from the outside might think, oh, if I go to a big company, I'm just going to be a number and I'll just kind of get lost in the shuffle. But you've been able to be really mobile in your career and kind of get where you wanted to go, within Cargill. So has there been any secret to your success in doing that, or what's contributed to your ability to continue to advance even across, different business units?
Yeah, totally. So it's honestly all about who you know, what your network is, who your mentors are, just like navigating your career anywhere in life. I mean, so when I first came to Cargill, I had an awesome mentor and boss right away. I loved what I did. I took another job that I also really enjoyed and was super challenging. But through recruiting at K State for Cargill, I met the person who, connected me to the opportunity within our feed business. So you just really never know where you're going to meet someone who truly might have a life-changing impact on you.
Hmm.
And so that's why it's always important to be building your network. And then I would say once you get into your role at Cargill, whenever I'm recruiting students, I always explain it this way. Cargill is just like a big university. And so when you go to Kansas State and it seems really huge, the Kansas State umbrella is very large, but when you break it down by the School of Engineering, the School of Agriculture, the School of Arts and Sciences, it starts to become very small very quickly. And then you get into your classes where in department where things get even smaller. And that's the same way at Cargill. So our US feed business is about 2,000 employees. So it's really day to day more like I work for a 2,000 employee company, which is way less intimidating than a 160,000 person global company that Cargill is. So the opportunities to network and move within the global company are there, but your day to day, you build relationships and get to know people on a personal level very quickly, and you work with the same people. So it starts to feel very comfortable very quickly.
That's great. And one thing I find, is frustrating for people early in their career, but maybe a nice benefit for those, someone like yourself who's been out of college a few years and has kind of found themselves in a really good role, is you get to look back and say, okay, what was something early on that may have indicated that this is where you would end up? Can you point to anything? Or I know you had mentioned to me that when you're in college, you didn't really exactly know where you were going to end up.
Yeah. I would say in college, there's no way I would have predicted I wound up in this role. No way. And even within my first year at Cargill, I never would have thought I would move to our feed group. I never would have thought I would have wound up in pricing and formulation. I thought I was on a trading trajectory. And that's what I was interested in at the time. So you've just got to stay open and always keep your eye out for great opportunities. A big reason why I made the jump from trading into our feed group is because I was going to have the opportunity to lead a team much faster than I saw that path coming to fruition within the trading side. So trading is much more individual contributor roles, and obviously they get very important and have a lot of risk associated with them over time. And if that's what you want, obviously that's what you stick with. But I saw an opportunity to lead a team and have an impact on people, and relationships are a huge value to me. So I really ran to that and gravitated to that, and then grew into, what I'm doing today. So yeah, I'm just as surprised as anybody that I'm in this role today and in pricing and formulation, and that I price feed every day for a living. I started at K-State in apparel design in like a very creative path. So yeah, I would have never thought that this would be where I am today, but it's challenging, and I really enjoy it. So here I am.
That's great. Let's talk more about what you enjoy about it. I think maybe from the outside looking in, it's like, boy, you figure up the price of feed every day and what components should go into it. Like,
Yeah.
what's the day to day look like, and what do you find most invigorating about it?
Yeah. So I think a couple of things that are really important to me, or things that I look forward to every day is one, working with my team, seeing what they need, how can I help, what barriers need to be removed, what asks need to be better explained or prioritized. I love helping my team, coaching them, figuring out what they want from their careers, and then helping them get there. So that's what I love first and foremost. And then 1A, not even number two, but 1A would be then working with our customers. So, working with our sales team on customers who need very specific things, or, we do a lot of private label business, and finding solutions for private label customers is often pretty tricky when we look across our network, and where do we have capacity, and where do we have the capability to take on additional volume or complexity, and just really trying to better understand our customers, what they want, and then how can we fit a service model, to their needs, that's mutually beneficial and isn't going to take our capacity way down in a facility. So lots of challenges, lots of downstream impacts from every decision, and that complexity and that challenge and the direct impact to the customer every day is really fun and something I really enjoy.
Cool. What about the flip side? You mentioned the challenges. What is most challenging about what you do, or maybe something somebody wouldn't know from the outside looking in about what is hard about your job and your work?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the hardest thing is that my team sits right in the middle of all of our functions. So we work every day with operations, supply chain, sales, customer service, strategy, marketing, and we have to balance a lot of asks and a lot of priorities. Um, a lot of people come to us with challenges they're having, or how would you navigate this? How can I fix this? How can I alleviate this pain point for my customer? And it's really just balancing all the different asks and making sure that if you say yes to one thing, or you make a decision about one area, it's not going to have a negative impact on someone else. And just the yeah, having to navigate all of that, and not cause too much trouble for any one person or any customer, that's definitely the most challenging. So it's fun, but there are days it is extremely frustrating as well, and you just have to work through that with people.
Sure. Yeah. Speaking of people, we've got a couple in the comments here. Familiar face, and Meg Becker says, "Way to go, Mindy." Also
Thanks, Meg.
have a comment here from Taylor Everett Gannon. Says, enjoyed my time at CCF Yuma, Colorado. I imagine that's Cargill Cattle Feeders, Yuma, Colorado. So thank you for Meg and Taylor for being live here with us. Well, let's talk a little bit more. Oh, sorry, I think I put that back up there. Yeah, there we go. Let's talk a little bit more about management. That's something that it can be a big challenge. It sounds like something that you really enjoy is working with a team. So do you have people reporting to you, and what was that transition like to go from kind of, my words, not yours, rising star employee to manager? What was that like?
Yeah. So I was extremely fortunate to, what I would say, have some time to build some street cred. So when I first came into feed, I was hired as a supervisor, but I was given 9 months to train, actually formulate for facilities, get called for temp formulas in the middle of the night. It was just an extremely challenging time. And I honestly almost every day questioned, why did I make this career move? What am I doing? What is the point of all of this? But what I got the opportunity to do was just get my hands dirty, understand the day-to-day challenges. And then when I became a supervisor, I was so much more empathetic to what employees were actually going through. And they knew that I had personally experienced it. I think also just having a really strong personal relationship that you can be honest with, hey, this conversation's a little awkward because a few weeks ago you were training me and now technically you report to me. I mean, just being willing to call it out and when something's a little awkward or you're not sure how to say something, just admit it and say so. And if you have a strong enough personal relationship, you're gonna figure out a way to work through it. Um, the people that report to me today, experts in their area, and I've worked with them for a very long time, and they've seen me grow and learn. I've seen them grow and learn. So again, just really fortunate to work for people that are really awesome at what they do. They're super knowledgeable, and my role is really just to make sure that they have the resources they need. I'm helping the business not ask them for too much at any one time, helping them prioritize if needed, and then challenging and trying to poke holes in certain things that they come up with. And it's just I'm in a really great spot today. I love my team, and it's really fun working with them. So later in my career, as I'm sure I will move to areas where I didn't get to kind of grow up with the people that I manage, that will be an interesting transition. But today, I've really gotten to learn a lot and grow a lot with them, and it was a pretty natural transition, really.
Hmm. No, it sounds like very much kind of a servant leader type approach, and I'm sure your team really appreciates the humility and kind of that mindset that you bring to the job. I think that's really very cool. Well, tell us a story about Casey Bloom Company, kind of how that came about, and then kind of
Yeah,
your experiences there.
yeah, totally. So, um, I think a lot of people that have a 9 to 5 job or work for a large company, oftentimes we wonder, what would it be like to be an entrepreneur? What would it be like to have a side job, a side hustle, what have you? And I was really no different. I've always loved working at Cargill. I loved my career. I've always been really excited about my career path. Um, but I kind of just had an itch to do something outside of work as well. And I honestly was very victim of focusing too much on work as well. So it's like, what's a hobby that might also be profitable to kind of help me balance work life a little bit better.
Mhm.
So Casey Bloom Co. was born, and it was a joint venture between a couple of friends and myself. And we were Kansas City's first mobile flower van, and it was really fun, also really challenging. When you buy a van that your business is based around that's 36 years old, there's going to be a lot of mechanical issues and frustration. So we certainly had our fair share of that, but honestly, the Kansas City community is super supportive of entrepreneurs. There's a huge art scene, lots of local businesses that were willing to support us. I mean, we immediately had every weekend booked or very quickly, as we were out networking with people trying to book events, they took to the idea really quickly. It was awesome. It was really fun. We sold make your own bouquets, we sold pre-made bouquets. But really last fall, as I transitioned into the role that I have today, it became a work balance, and I was just working around the clock. And so our goal when we started it was that eventually, obviously it would be profitable and busy enough that we would hire someone to run the day to day for us. But it wasn't going to get to that point anytime soon. And again, it was just a work balance. Um, and I really just wasn't okay with that. It was extremely stressful, and the Casey Bloomco that was so fun at the beginning just was not fun anymore, and it really was just frustrating, and it just wasn't a good situation. So we said, the smart thing to do is probably quit while we're ahead. So we naturally, let it close in the fall because it's an outdoor based business, and then we just didn't reopen it in the spring. Sold our van, shut down the website. So it was a really actual easy transition to close it. And as soon as we did that, I was so relieved and able to focus on life outside of work instead of just another job. Um, but it was a great learning experience. Learned a ton about marketing, building something brand new, building a brand, social media marketing. It was an awesome experience that I think was absolutely worth all the pain and frustration because there were some really good times as well. But it will definitely make me think twice about trying to do another venture outside of work. And I have a lot of advice or tips to give anybody who's thinking about doing the same thing
Hmm.
because you really are taking on a lot and you have to really love what you're doing to, again, leave work and then keep working. And we just weren't there with that particular business.
Sure. No, I appreciate you sharing that situation because I think that's hard for a lot of people, including myself, which is you have this vision of, this side hustle could become something big. We could have employees. It could be a big business down the road. And I know you said the transition was pretty easy and you were relieved once it was over, but I bet giving up that vision of what it could be was probably a challenge, probably something I would imagine that you wrestled with. So how have you been able to kind of trust your gut, sort of, so to speak, in terms of what opportunities should be pursued, even maybe in some cases not knowing where they'll end up in the situation of your current role? You said you wouldn't actually have guessed you're ending up there. So how do you sort of trust your gut in the meantime?
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's a challenging question. Sorry, I'm trying to plug my phone in here to make
No
sure I
problem.
don't lose you. Sorry. That's the beauty of being live. So I think if I'm being honest with myself, I have not always trusted my gut and I've not always been sure in my decisions. So I think by the time we were ready to shut down Casey Bloomco, that was pretty obvious. But taking on new roles, or really when I left trading to come into the feed division, I wasn't sure for over a year if that was the right choice to have made. Um, but I think the way that I approach decisions now, and what I've learned from making several tough career choices over time, is just, does it feel right to you personally? And does it align with the vision that you have for your career, or values that are important to you as you manage your career? Um, and if it does, then go for it. And I think every person is going to make some bad choices along the way, or maybe wish they hadn't taken a certain role, but you learn just as much from that as you do from taking the right ones, and just being comfortable that things aren't going to be perfect all the time. Um, but yeah, you just, as long as it aligns with your personal goals, supports your family or your life outside of work, and you're challenged by it and you're excited about it, just go for it and see what happens. And I can say I've pretty much done that with all my roles at Cargill, and so far it's worked out pretty well.
Cool. And back to the role you're in now with U.S. Pricing Formulation Manager. Is that mostly just kind of sitting in a desk in front of the computer there? Do you get out to any of these? I think you said 50 something facilities.
Hmm.
Some people think, well, that job sounds interesting, but I don't know that I could just be in front of a computer all day figuring out formulations and pricing. What's that look like from a practical standpoint?
Totally. Yeah, well, it's certainly a lot of screen time, and whether that's working individually on a project and looking at data or trends or ingredient markets and actually setting prices, right? Like, there is definitely a certain, or a definitely a large chunk of screen time, but a lot of that screen time also is collaborating with others, being in meetings, having working sessions. And as long as I'm working with other people, I'm great, and I'm having fun typically. The individualistic work sometimes can be a drag, or not as fun, but I'm a pretty curious person and I like to really understand what's going on in the business. So doing a certain amount of that is very fun for me. But yeah, if this was just about sitting behind a desk, I definitely wouldn't have this role. People and relationships are what's important to me, and really what gets me out of bed every day. So being able to collaborate with my team or cross-functional teammates, and then, like I said earlier, actually getting to spend time with customers, is really fun as well, and really makes it hit home what we're doing every day, right? We're not waking up every day to keep the Cargill machine running. The Cargill machine doesn't keep running if customers aren't willing to work with us and want to partner with us, going forward. So yeah, definitely a decent amount of travel, whether that's to internal meetings or visiting with customers. Maybe there's something going on at a particular facility that I need to go to. There's been several times that has happened. So yeah, I'd say my role in a normal year could be 25 to 30% travel, um, maybe 25 to 30% individual screen time, and then everything else is working with others, collaborating with others, being in front of customers, things like that.
Cool. Yeah, I think that often gets missed. People think like, oh, are you working inside or outside? It's like, well, there's a whole lot more dynamics there, especially like you said, the
Totally.
interactivity between your team and other stakeholders, whether that's a customer or someone else within the organization. Makes a lot of sense.
Definitely, yeah. I would say today I've spent 20 minutes at my desk, but otherwise I've been kind of running around to different meetings or doing this. So every day is definitely different, and a lot of times I wish I had more time at my desk to get some things done.
Right.
But that just doesn't tend to usually happen. Yeah.
Well, one question that's kind of become a favorite of mine to ask in these situations, because it's not always abundantly clear from the outside looking in, is how do you know when you're doing a good job? Like, how do you measure, like, if, hey, I did a good job today or this week or this month or this year, just by what metric, I guess, do you determine that?
Yeah. So we absolutely have business goals, profitability goals, a budget that we have to hit. And those are numbers that we're tracking to every single month. So that's pretty black and white. Are we doing what we need to or not? But again, me going back to relationships and the value that I place on that, I can tell if I'm doing a good job or not by feedback and conversations that I'm having with my peers throughout the business. So, our sales team every day is in front of customers, many, many customers sometimes. If they're getting negative feedback or questions around, well, why can't you be priced at this in this market? Or why do you have this ingredient in this formula? Or why is it labeled that way? I mean, the more feedback that you're getting, typically you probably know you need to clean some things up or look at some things, maybe have some better um, conversations to explain why we're doing different things in different markets. It's really easy to tell when your team is doing a good job or not, basis how vocal our sales team is. And they're just a direct reflection of what's going on in the market and what's going on with our customers. So we really value that feedback. And yeah, you know pretty quick if you're if you're not doing what you need to. And it's fun, and those relationships and that really candid feedback take a lot of time to develop, but it's so valuable, and you really look forward to it over time, even if sometimes it's hard to hear.
Well, but before I let you go off the air here, one more question. You can answer this, I guess, one of two different ways, which is either one, what advice has served you best in your career that you've received, or you could just turn it around and offer some advice for other young professionals trying to make their mark on the industry of agriculture.
Yeah. So one piece of advice that I've been really reflecting on a lot recently is sometimes throughout your career, you're going to have to manage to your career, right? And what you want, you're going to be aggressive, you're going to go after it. But other times you really have to take into consideration what's going on with you personally, what's going on with your family, what are your goals outside of work. And so, there's one time in my Cargill career that I feel like I made a career choice that did not align with my personal goals, and I was not my best self. I didn't perform as well in that role. I just did not enjoy it. I wasn't happy. I wasn't myself. And as I left that role and transitioned into a new one, I got that advice from a manager because I was very nervous about stepping into this new role. It was a little bit different. Um, and they were like, listen, this fits you way better personally. Sometimes life is just about that, and you're going to be your best self at work if you've got your things outside of work straightened out. And at the time, it was, making a choice to move to the same city that my fiance was in,
Mm-hmm.
right? And get married and start a family. So I felt very guilty doing that, or like I was taking a backseat to my career, but it was impacting me to also not be making that choice.
Hmm.
So I just think it's so important that people really think about the whole picture. I've worked with people all the time, or there's been people on my team that are struggling with things personally, and it absolutely impacts their work. And that's why it's important to have close personal relationships at work so people know what's going on with you. But you are a whole person. You're not a work person, and you're not an outside of work person. You are a whole person, and you have to own that and be responsible for that and make choices that make you the best whole person you can be. And don't be scared of that. And that's fine.
That is awesome, Mindy. What a great place to end the interview here. Thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations on being one of AgGrad's 30 under 30. If somebody wants to follow up with anything you said, and I hope everybody caught that last part because that was so important to all of us. What's a way they could get in touch with you or follow you on social media or whatever you'd like to throw out there?
Yeah, totally. Well, everybody at Cargill, it's pretty easy to find us because our email address is our first name _ our last name at cargill.com. And then LinkedIn, I love connecting with people, new people. If anybody wants career advice or to talk about something they're going through, would love to chat, especially, if you found me through this. We probably are somewhat like-minded, both, working through AgGrad. So yeah, love to connect with others, love to learn about what other people are going through. So you can always shoot me a message on LinkedIn as well.
Great. Yep. And if you showed up late and want to catch the full interview with Mindy, you can do so either on the AgGrad Live podcast or through the AgGrad YouTube channel. Mindy, thanks so much again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining AgGrad Live. Visit aggrad.com, that's AGGRAD, to join the community, create your profile, and learn more about careers in the agriculture industry.